What if the meat in your fridge was part of a nationwide recall and no one ever told you? In 2025, over 2.4 million pounds of meat have already been pulled from US grocery stores. Much of it quietly, without headlines, without warnings, and without a single notice at checkout while you're planning dinner. Some chains are gambling with your life behind closed warehouse doors. The most terrifying part, seniors and low-income shoppers are the most at risk. The very people these stores claim to serve. What happens when the grocer you trusted for decades starts selling meat tainted with bacteria, chemicals, even metal, and then covers it up with silence? This is the Downturn Report, where the truth gets personal. Today, we expose 10 major grocery chains recalling meat in 2025 without telling you. You won't believe who's on the list and how many times it's already happened this year. Number 1. Walmart. What if your grocery receipt was a warning label in disguise? And could you imagine that shiny slab of beef you trusted for dinner is quietly sitting on a federal recall list, while your fridge hums? None the wiser, Walmart doesn't just sell groceries, it also sells comfort. Aisles of bright lights and rollback signs promise that nothing's out of reach. For folks juggling rent, pills, and utility bills. It's a place that feels like a small win. That $2 pack of chicken thighs feels like beating the system. But sometimes the system smiles while slipping a hand into your pocket, or worse, your health. In 2025, Walmart pulled tens of thousands of pounds of meat from shelves across the country. We see no press releases or front-page panic. Just quiet removals after government labs found E. coli O157H7 in their market side and great value beef. And that bacteria is so vicious it can cause kidney failure, especially in older adults. The meat came from Cargill. You didn't hear wrong. It's the same Cargill fined for labor violations, filthy conditions, and animal cruelty. In 2024, one of their plants kept processing meat while its sterilizers were broken. They didn't stop. They just kept packing. But the scariest part, that beef might have made it through anyway. Walmart's supply chain snakes through the globe, often landing in countries where food safety is like a traffic sign no one bothers to obey. Investigators found meat stored next to chemicals, carcasses crawling with flies, and expired stock rebranded like a used car with a new paint job. And here at home, leaked photos from stores in Arkansas and Texas show meat left unrefrigerated for hours. Some workers said they were told to wipe off the slime and rewrap it, no questions asked. In Missouri, inspectors caught one store selling recalled pork weeks after the recall, brown, leaking, and tagged managers special. If spoiled meat could talk, it'd probably say, "Shh, don't blow my cover." The USDA listed at least 5 Walmart meat recalls in 2025 alone. You probably didn't hear a peep. That's the strategy. Bury it in legalese, filter it through local managers, and hope nobody connects the dots. So you're tired of playing grocery roulette? Consider Winco Foods. It may not flash fancy signs or 20 checkout lanes, but it's employee-owned, works with local processors, and scored over 30% higher than Walmart in food safety transparency. According to Consumer Reports in 2024, they've had 0 recalls in the last 4 years. And now we need to accept the new truth that sometimes the cheapest steak comes with the highest risk, and sometimes that low price whispers a secret. I've seen things, and you don't want to know where I've been. Number 2, Kroger. If Walmart was the warning shot, then Kroger is the silent echo you didn't hear coming. While one flaunts low prices and chaos, the other hides behind a polished smile and tells you it's all family. But what happens when your family grocer starts slipping danger into your cart? Softly, regularly, and with a loyalty discount, Kroger has the face of comfort. The produce is misted, the lights are warm, and the deli smells just enough like grandma's kitchen to disarm you. It feels like the kind of place that remembers your birthday. But in January of 2025, shoppers who trusted that familiar comfort got a cold slap of reality, as over 42,000 pounds of raw ground beef under the private selection label were recalled for contamination with Listeria monocytogenes, known as a bacteria so deadly it can silently destroy the lives of older adults, pregnant women, and anyone with a weakened immune system. And that was just the beginning. According to FSIS data, Kroger has issued at least 7 meat recalls since early 2023, nearly all of them quiet, clinical, and virtually invisible to the very customers who needed to know. No PA system announcements or register alerts. Just a silent system hoping your immune system holds up. Behind the cheery aprons and butcher's case is a machinery of mass meat production indistinguishable from its more industrial rivals. A 2024 investigation by The Counter uncovered that Kroger's suppliers include JBS and Tyson subsidiaries, corporations mired in allegations of torture-level animal cruelty, picture pigs skinned while still alive, cattle shocked into stillness, and workers forced to meet quotas so tight they don't have time to clean. If this is what family looks like behind the scenes, it's just a horror show in an apron. But that horror doesn't stay in the slaughterhouse. Leaked documents from stores in Kentucky and Indiana revealed internal orders to meet meat shelf quotas by any means. One employee admitted, "We rinse the slime, we regrind the brown, and if it smells off." It depends who's the boss that day. When meat starts getting evaluated like a bad perfume, something's gone deeply wrong. Then came the chicken. In late 2024, a Cincinnati customer ended up hospitalized after eating rotisserie chicken from a Kroger deli. Tests confirmed it was contaminated with Salmonella enteritidis. Surprisingly, there was not a single formal recall or warning signs. Kroger refunded the chicken, but not the hospital bill. The incident only reached public attention after the victim's daughter posted a desperate warning on Facebook. But how many seniors scroll social media these days? Between meds and medical bills, the emotional betrayal hits hardest here. Kroger calls itself your neighborhood store. But when they gamble with your dinner and your health, the neighborly handshake starts to feel more like a trap door. If you want to get off the roulette wheel, look at Fresh Thyme Market. They work with certified humane farms and avoid mega processors like JBS. In 2025, they earned a Tier 1 rating from the ASPCA's Shop With Your Heart campaign. Their butchers know their suppliers by name, more than just a product code. Of course, it's not perfect yet, but it's a whole lot closer to peace of mind. Because when even your friendly grocer starts playing dirty, the only thing left on the table might be your trust carved thin and served cold. Number 3, Publix. Publix feels like a Southern tradition wrapped in a deli apron. It's where folks swap recipes in the aisles, kids get free cookies, and retirees feel remembered. Where shopping is a pleasure is a familiar rhythm, especially across Florida and Georgia. But lately, that pleasure may be masking something more dangerous. Behind the floral displays and cheerful greetings, the meat section has become a quiet minefield, and shoppers aren't being told what they're stepping into. In early 2025, Publix recalled pre-packaged turkey slices under its GreenWise label. They didn't expire. It's just because they were contaminated with leftover cleaning chemicals. Customers had reported a strange chemical taste and bouts of nausea. The USDA later confirmed residues of industrial sanitizer not fully rinsed during processing. Publix blamed a supplier and handed out gift cards, but there was no public warning and no store-wide alert, just a quiet disappearance from shelves, like it never happened, unless your stomach was the one that noticed. And that's the real issue. GreenWise, their pride and joy ethical brand, claims humane treatment and antibiotic-free meat. But a 2024 expose by the Tampa Bay Times told a different story. It showed contracted poultry farms riddled with animal abuse, in which chickens living in ammonia-soaked barns, packed so tightly they couldn't spread a wing. One former worker at a Georgia supplier called it a death camp for birds. Even worse, there were allegations of banned growth hormone use, a direct violation of U.S. poultry standards. The rot isn't just at the farm, inside public stores. A viral 2024 TikTok posted by a former employee revealed cooked ham stored next to raw, leaking chicken in the deli case. The video showed gloved hands switching from tray to tray without washing. The employee claimed the directive was clear: wrap it fast, not safe. Health codes. That's someone else's department. What makes this betrayal cut deeper is how hard it is to spot. Publix doesn't maintain a public recall registry like other chains. If there's a recall, it's usually a tiny print out near the customer service counter, invisible to older shoppers who never venture near it. In 2023 alone, at least 4 USDA documented meat incidents involving Publix weren't announced in stores or in the news, just more problems swept under the linoleum. Yet somehow, Publix still wins awards for customer satisfaction. Maybe that says more about perception than reality. A clean floor and a friendly cashier go a long way until your sandwich comes with a side of cover-up. If you're ready for something clearer, check out Sprouts Farmers Market, while not as common across the South, Sprouts has made transparency a brand, not a buzzword. In 2025, they launched a digital tracker that shows exactly where your meat was raised and how. Their beef and pork are sourced from small U.S. farms with third-party humane certifications. According to Foodprint's 2024 audit, Sprouts scored over 40% higher than Publix on transparency and animal welfare. Publix might still wrap your roast with a smile, but that smile is starting to crack. And in today's food system, a pleasant checkout experience means nothing if what's in your fridge might send you to the ER. Number 4. Food Lion. What if the supermarket you trusted like an old friend was quietly slipping poison into your cart? Wrapped in plastic, priced to sell, and served with a nod, Food Lion has always played the part of the humble neighborhood grocer. The shelves aren't flashy, the stores aren't sprawling, and that's exactly why it feels safe. It's the store you stop by after church, the one where you remember the layout better than your own kitchen. But in 2025, that comfortable silence is starting to reek. Because behind that paper ad with $3 burger patties and Taste of Inspiration's ham is a meat system crumbling from the inside out. In March of this year, Food Lion recalled ground beef patties under its Nature's Place label after E. coli O103 infected at least 9 people in North Carolina, 3 of them seniors. But unless you happen to see a tiny placard tucked between the shopping carts, you probably never heard about it. No announcements, no emails, not even a beep at the register. The recall came and went like a whisper through a storm. And that wasn't the first time Food Lion hoped you weren't paying attention. Their meat comes cheap because it's processed cheap, by third-party plants barely under USDA supervision. One of their suppliers, Amick Farms, was caught in 2024 rinsing raw poultry in contaminated water. Inspectors found workers grinding dead, decomposing birds into meat labeled Nature's Promise. That's right, dead on arrival, scrubbed, minced, and sold next to the potato salad. The Charlotte Observer called it a factory of denial, but Food Lion kept stacking the shelves. At the store level, the rot keeps spreading. Over 30 locations in Virginia and South Carolina were fined in 2023 for spoiled meat and failing equipment. Mold grew in grinders. Some packages of lunch meat swelled like balloons, literally fermenting on the shelves. Internal memos admitted the issues. The response: clean it up and restock, as if bleach could erase a bacterial time bomb. But the real gut punch Food Lion rarely speaks when things go wrong. No press releases, no public apologies, just buried links on USDA bulletins and manufacturer sites older shoppers never visit. It's the kind of corporate silence that feels intentional, like someone counting on you to be too tired, too distracted, or too broke to notice. So here's the question: if your meat is making people sick, and you still won't speak up, what else are you hiding? Now compare that to Hannaford Supermarkets, owned by the same parent company, Ahold Delhaize, but run with a conscience. Hannaford uses blockchain to track every cut of meat from farm to shelf. Consumer Reports praised them in 2024 for full sourcing transparency and 0 recalls during the same period. Food Lion had 3. Hannaford tells you what's in the package. Food Lion hopes you don't ask. Food Lion may look quiet, but don't mistake silence for safety. In 2025, silence has a smell, and it starts in the meat cooler. Number 5, Safeway. Some stores make you uneasy from the parking lot, but Safeway isn't one of them. With polished floors, soothing pastels, and that faint scent of rotisserie chicken in the air, it plays the part of the respectable cousin, a little more polished than Walmart and not as smug as Whole Foods. For older Americans up and down the West Coast, Safeway has always felt like a compromise between cost and class. But in 2025, that polished image cracked, and what oozed out was enough to turn your Sunday roast into a stomach-turning gamble. In April, Safeway quietly recalled more than 28,000 pounds of beef sirloin and bone-in pork chops sold under its O Organics and Signature Farms labels. The USDA confirmed Listeria monocytogenes contamination, a bacteria especially fatal to seniors and those with compromised immune systems. But here's what makes this terrifying: Safeway didn't act until 4 elderly customers were hospitalized. 2 suffered long-term neurological damage. Worse, health records show that customer complaints about foul-smelling meat came weeks before any action was taken. Safeway knew something was off. They waited anyway. This wasn't a slip-up, it was a symptom. A crack in a meat system that's gotten too big, too cheap, and too indifferent. Safeway suppliers. The usual suspects: Tyson Foods and other volume first giants. A 2024 investigation by Reveal News tied Safeway's pork supply to a Tyson facility in Iowa, caught illegally employing underage migrant teens to clean bloody kill floors overnight, using acid sprays and operating machinery most adults wouldn't touch. That same facility failed multiple USDA inspections due to contaminated blades and conveyor belts. But the meat kept moving, right into Safeway packaging, and the rot doesn't stop at the factory gates. Inspections in Northern California and Colorado have painted a stomach-churning picture. In 2023, dozens of Safeway stores were cited for meat prep areas soaked in blood, temperature abuse, and deli slicers crusted in dried residue. A viral whistleblower video from a Denver Safeway showed a butcher washing spoiled beef, rewrapping it, and tossing it into the markdown bin with a smile. The caption read, "If it stinks, shrink it." Even Safeway's O Organics brand, the one they claim is clean and honest, is under fire. The Center for Food Safety sued the chain in 2024, exposing that its organic beef came from massive CAFO's industrial farms where cattle stand ankle-deep in filth with no pasture in sight. Drone footage from one Colorado facility showed animals pacing in their own waste in direct violation of USDA organic standards. But Safeway still called it pasture-raised. So the next time you grab that shrink-wrapped steak from the trusted brand, ask yourself what else is shrink-wrapped along with it. Denial disease. Or just another excuse dressed up as dinner. Want a chain that doesn't play hide-and-seek with your health? Look at Central Market. This Texas-based grocer partners with small ranches, refuses deals with meat giants like Tyson or Smithfield, and was one of the only supermarkets in 2025 to voluntarily recall beef before anyone got sick. That's called responsibility, something Safeway hasn't even tried to fake lately. Safeway wants your loyalty. But in 2025, loyalty should go to the grocers who'd rather pull bad meat than pull a fast one. Number 6. Target. Target isn't known for meat, and maybe that's why it's been slipping dangerous products under the radar. In May 2025, Target quietly recalled its Good and Gather turkey breast and ground beef after Salmonella Newport was found a drug-resistant strain that hospitalized 12 people, 5 of them elderly. Instead of alerting shoppers, Target hid the recall on a corporate webpage. No in-store signs, no direct emails, just silence wrapped in branding. And this isn't a one-off. In 2024, an undercover report linked Target's deli meats to a processor previously shut down for letting meat sit unrefrigerated for hours. Employees even used floor squeegees to push sausage across filthy floors. Those sausages ended up in Target's pristine cases, sold under a label that reads natural and clean, words that, legally, mean nothing. Behind the scenes, it's worse. Former Target distribution staff revealed that meat often sat in unrefrigerated loading docks overnight. Management's logic: if it's cold to the touch, ship it. Target's promises of simple ingredients mask a deeper rot. One lawsuit in 2023 alleged that their humanely raised pork came from factory farms where pigs suffered open wounds and lived in cages too small to turn around. Photos showed conditions so severe, USDA inspectors called them concerning but typical. Want a safer bet? Try Hy-Vee. This Midwest grocer uses third-party audits, real-time recall alerts, and partners with regional farms. In 2025, they led the industry in transparency. At Target, the meat might look upscale, but the risks are anything but, and no discount is worth spending the night in a hospital bed. Number 7. Costco. Costco feels like a Wynn Giant Steaks, low prices, and shelves stacked like a prepper's paradise for older Americans on fixed incomes. It's long felt like the smartest place to stock up. But in 2025, that smart shopping comes with a warning label no one handed out. In June, Costco quietly pulled Kirkland Signature ground beef in 8 states. No public alert, no in-store warning, just a tiny note online after Salmonella Dublin was found. This strain is deadly for seniors. And the contaminated beef came from a California plant cited for filthy hooks, reused gloves, and carcasses tainted with fecal matter. But Costco didn't say a word in stores. Behind the Kirkland logo is JBS, the global meat giant infamous for corruption and labor abuse. In 2023, JBS paid $27 million for using slave labor in Brazil. Those same cattle, eventually part of Costco's supply. In Nebraska, a JBS-run plant processed meat while its cooling failed. Temps soared past USDA safety limits. Costco sold the meat anyway, and it gets worse. In 2024, a former employee exposed Costco deli staff in Texas mixing expired meat into chicken salad. Managers told them, "Use it before it smells." That video went viral, then vanished. So what's a safer choice? Try New Season's Market. This West Coast chain skips giant suppliers, works only with humane farms, and labels everything from farm to fridge. In 2025, it was praised for cutting all ties with JBS and Tyson. Costco may sell meat by the ton, but if that pound of savings comes wrapped in silence and scandal, it's no deal, it's a trap. Number 8, Save a Lot. Save a Lot looks like a bargain hunter's bunker, no frills, off-brand labels, and prices that seem too good to question. But in 2025, the questions are urgent. In February, Save a Lot recalled over 18,000 pounds of Briarwood and J. Higgs frozen meats after reports of metal and plastic found inside. One elderly customer was hospitalized with internal bleeding. No store warnings, just a barcode buried online. The problem that was no isolated glitch. Save a Lot relies on ultra-cheap processors. One key supplier, Prime Cut Meats Inc., failed multiple USDA inspections for rat infestations and forging slaughter dates. Inspectors found chemical sprays used to mask the stench of rotten pork before shipping it to Save a Lot shelves. Inside stores, things turned stomachs fast. In 2023, a Save a Lot in Iowa was shut down after maggots were discovered in a meat cooler and expired beef was relabeled. Employees were told to minimize shrink code for "don't toss it unless it moves." And it gets worse. Save a Lot's packing operations have included prison labor programs criticized for forcing inmates to work in freezing temperatures for up to 14 hours untrained, gloveless, and voiceless. If your only local grocer serves up meat laced with danger and silence, it's time to look elsewhere. Try Food City. In 2025, it earned top marks from Food Safety Watch and has had 0 recalls in 2 years. Their Fresh from the Farm program sources from regional farms, not industrial nightmares. Save a Lot might save your wallet today, but if what's inside that sausage can cut your throat or chip your teeth, is it really a deal? Number 9, Piggly Wiggly. Piggly Wiggly feels like home red pig logos, friendly butchers, and small town charm. But in 2025, that charm is covering up something rotten. In March, beef liver and pork chops under the Southern Home label were quietly pulled from shelves in Alabama, Mississippi, and South Carolina after Listeria sickened multiple elderly shoppers. No public recall, no news, just a flyer taped near the exit. Blink and you missed it. The Source A supplier called Delta Valley Meats cited in 2024 for delivering raw meat in unrefrigerated trucks for up to 10 hours. USDA inspectors found roaches and fecal matter in their main plant, which serves over 100 Piggly Wiggly stores. Even inside the stores, the problems multiply. In 2023, one location was caught using fake Package Today labels, storing beef at unsafe temperatures, and slicing meat on filthy equipment. A manager allegedly shrugged and said, "It's fine if you cook it, but for seniors, that's not reassurance, it's risk." And that trusted Southern Home label, it's just a brand slapped on the cheapest meat in town, with wildly inconsistent safety. A 2024 blind test found over 22% of Southern Home meat samples were visibly spoiled. If your grocer won't tell you the meat is dangerous, are they still your neighbor or just another business betting you won't look too closely? Try Harris Teeter, with transparent sourcing, in-store meat managers, and QR-coded farm info. It's one of the few chains actually showing their cards. Because Piggly Wiggly may feel familiar, but food safety isn't a feeling, it's a fact. Number 10. Giant Eagle. Giant Eagle used to feel like a friend's small-town charm with high-tech polish. But in 2025, that friend served up a silence that made people sick. In May, Giant Eagle recalled Nature's Basket ground beef and Market District sausage from 120 stores after Clostridium perfringens was detected, a dangerous bacteria for seniors. The catch: they waited 9 days after complaints, then quietly posted the recall online. No shelf warnings, no in-store alerts, just silence. Behind the scenes, it's worse. Suppliers like Eagle Valley Meats were cited in 2024 for blood-soaked equipment, rusted blades, and skipping required cooling steps. Some even faked sanitation logs. That meat was packed warm and sent out anyway, bacteria included. Store-level shortcuts were just as reckless. A former meat manager told Business Insider they were told to regrind brown beef and repackage expired pork to make it look fresh. Another Akron location was caught relabeling old deli meats and selling them as premium market district cuts. Even the high-end stuff isn't safe. Giant Eagle's dry-aged beef line tested positive for E. coli O26 in early 2025, but only after it had already reached customers. An audit showed no microbial testing had been done. Labels were approved anyway, and ethically. In 2024, a supplier was caught mutilating piglets and dumping dead animals. Giant Eagle renewed the contract 6 months later, looking for safer ground. Try Wegmans. In 2025, it topped Consumer Reports' meat safety list, offering real recall alerts and transparent sourcing. They warn you Giant Eagle waits, because when your grocer stops telling the truth, the cost of meat isn't measured in dollars, it's in hospital beds. What if the real cost of cheap meat isn't on the receipt, but in the hospital bill, the broken trust, and the silence that follows? In 2025, your grocery choices carry more weight than ever. Don't let outdated loyalty blind you to hidden dangers. It's time to ask the hard questions, demand better, and shop where truth isn't buried behind barcodes. Subscribe now because your next meal shouldn't come with a side of regret.
Thanks a lot for sticking with us to the very end. If you found this video useful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you won't miss any daily uploads. And now, go ahead and explore some of our top recommended videos popping up on your screen. Goodbye, and see you in the next one.